God bless you to all the members of Providence and all of our guests all around the world. And thank you for watching another installment of Ask Pastor Williams Anything. This week's question is a difficult one. The question says, Pastor Williams, the rape of Tamar in the Old Testament, what am I supposed to do with that? What an excellent question. The question refers to Tamar, who is the son of David, who was sexually assaulted, raped by her half-brother Amnon in 2 Samuel chapter 13. And the question asked me, Pastor Williams, what am I supposed to do with that? And my response is, you are supposed to be disgusted by it. You are supposed to abhor every evil, particularly the evil of sexual assault and sexual violence. Here's the truth. Sexual assault and sexual violence against women is common, unfortunately, in the Old Testament. You can look at the story of David and Bathsheba. You can look at this particular story with Tamar. You can look at the story of so many different concubines. You can look at Solomon and his 700 wives. And you can pretty much be sure in all of those different narratives and all of those different stories, those women were not with those particular men by choice, but more by authority and by force. And so most of those stories probably are indicative of forced behavior that would speak to sexual assault and sexual violence. Unfortunately, it's all too prevalent throughout the entire Old Testament. What is scariest about the rape of Tamar is the daughter of David, a man after God's own heart even. And Scripture doesn't even denounce what Amnon did to his half-sister. And so just because Scripture doesn't denounce it doesn't mean that you and I cannot read the story, see the evil therein, and denounce it ourselves. If we are called in 2020 to speak out against all of the sexual violence and the predatory behavior that occurs against women now, it would behoove us to speak out against that which was occurring back then, particularly in Holy Scripture. Just because it's in the Bible doesn't mean it's okay. Just because it's in the Bible doesn't mean that it is right. What you can do with this story is you can teach your children, you can teach your church, you can teach anyone that's around you. The Bible does an excellent job of presenting the entire side of humanity, our good traits and our bad traits. And in this particular case, and in many of the cases of sexual violence in the Old Testament, the Bible is presenting the pure evil that humanity, a fallen group of people, the pure evil that is within us. It is wrong. There are no two ways about it. There's no way to dance around it. The only thing you can do is read it, face it, and call it what it is. Call it out for the heinous, inappropriate, wrong, and evil that it is. But please do not throw out all of Scripture, because a portion of Scripture represents the evil of humanity. There is redemption somewhere in the text. Our job is to keep reading and find it. But as for Tamar, we grieve, absolutely grieve, what she experienced. And the fact that Scripture and that story there in 2 Samuel does not take enough of a pause to acknowledge the wrong that is done and to offer some level of justice for the sexual violence that is presented in that story and in many others. But just because Scripture does not offer a move towards justice then does not mean that you and I do not have a call on our lives now to speak out against sexual violence, to speak out against rape and other crimes committed against women, and particularly those crimes that are committed against persons who do not have the power to stop themselves from receiving the evil that they are receiving. So what are you to do with it? Read it. Study it, just like you do all of Scripture. Acknowledge the evil. Acknowledge the wrong. And then see where God can bring light in the midst of darkness. What an excellent question. Thank you for the faith and the courage to submit such a question. This is Ask Pastor Williams, as you can ask me anything. Keep your questions coming. God bless you.